I'm a couple hours late to this party, but I'm here. I'm here, and a few hours ago, um, the Portland Trail Blazers and Memphis Grizzlies agreed to a agreed to a deal to send Ja Morant to Portland in exchange for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Finally, right? Finally, the Ja Morant Grizzly saga is over. After it seemed like forever of the Grizzlies trying to move on from him, or at least a full year. It seemed like that, and it seemed like it was getting to a point where no one was wanting Ja Morant. A team that ended up being his destination was a shocker, to say the least. As of all the reports, the rumors, the Blazers were never mentioned. Usually, like the Pelicans, the Kings, the Timberwolves at a point, but the Blazers were never in that conversation. But he, Ja Morant, is a Blazer. Teams up with Danny Avdia, Drew Holiday for now maybe, Dame, Donovan Clingan, in a gauntlet of guards for now. Um, John Morant gets his change of scenery that I've personally been an advocate for a couple of seasons, a few years now. As I do believe, and I'm optimistic about John Morant and his capabilities of getting back to form a little bit. Is he will he get back to that superstar form that he once was? I don't know about that much. Just from the national progression, or I guess progression of athleticism as you get older, but I do believe he can get back to at least All Star form. Just from a change of scenery, getting put on a competitive team like the Blazers are, after being on a non-competitive team for well, at least this year and a little bit before that, they started kind of going downhill with the Grizzlies were. And well, for the Blazers, I mean, this is a low risk potential reward for them. They they move on from they were able to get off of Jeremy Grant's humongous contract. That's a huge plus for them. Uh, that they were trying to do for a few years now. And Chris Murray, who was not a part of the rotation, and they take a flyer on a former All NBA All Star potential face of the league player in Ja Morant, who comes in and who will provide some great rim running, uh, applying pressure on the rim, some playmaking abilities, and this provides more of a presence offensively, even more so than what they would have had without him. It comes in and should be a plus for a guy like Donovan Clingan, who now have two pick and roll partners with him and Damian Lillard swapping roles in that aspect, where you have Ja Morant as the driver, or you have Dame as the shooter. That's a good position to be in if you're Clingan. Um, the the Blazers are about to be a very good transition team. Probably I expect to be one of the best ones in this league. With this lineup, and I mean uh I was already pretty high on this Blazers team going into the next season, but this I like them even more now. And of course, the big question now that lingers with Blazers is what do they do with this treasure trove, treasure trove, or that huge collection of guards that they have with Dame, Jaw, Drew, Shaden, and Scoot. What do they do? What who is getting traded basically? Because they can't use all five of these guards. This is impossible. I mean, one name has been struggling and I believe is their ultimate person is Jaylen Brown. Although reports in the past few hours say that reportedly that the Blazers' big move was Ja Morant. I don't know how much. I just don't personally how much I believe it. I mean, they stripped all the assets needed to acquire him. I mean, if you had the opportunity to go after an All NBA caliber player, All NBA player, regardless of fit, you try to. But if it's not him, I can see them going after like a little lesser um, player and like a Trey Murphy to provide immaculate floor spacing, additional scoring, and you want to give up as much. You have to give up at least one of the two young guards and show up or Scoot, and maybe Drew just to make some just to unclog it soon. But I do expect one more massive to semi-massive trade to come out of Portland after this trade. Ultimately, I like this trade for the Blazers. I love this trade for the Blazers. It's a low risk move, and while it was a surprise, it was a good surprise on their end. Moving on to the Grizzlies. Well, first, this move seems very, very underwhelming to what the player they gave up. But when you peel, peel it back a little bit and just look at the situation at hand and understand that, well, it's been known for a while that the Grizzlies were not going to get anything great without Ja, as his value has been shot down over the years. So, with that in perspective, I mean, the return is still not great. Obviously, getting a big contract with Jeremy Grant and a player in Chris Murray, who I don't expect to get much playing time on the Grizzlies team, even at a young age. He is. It's not a great package, but just look at the landscape of the Grizzlies. I understand it. I mean, they, they don't bring anybody in that would get in the way of any of these young guns that they have from getting minutes, like at the guard spot. They already have a big log jam there of a lot of players around the same realm to go against each other and truly compete. It opens the door for guys like Cam Boozer, the third overall pick in this past draft, to come in and be, well, a hub, a point forward, and a guy that the Grizzlies will likely run the offense to a lot for having any big time player in his way. Um, got ultimately just they, they wipe their hands they wipe their hands of this Ja Morant situation, and they can finally go into this brand new era of Grizzlies basketball. This is what they ultimately were doing, aiming for. They weren't aiming to get some crazy return. They weren't aiming to get some big name. They were aiming to just start off clean and start off with a fresh slate. And for that, I can respect it and be okay with what the Grizzlies did today. And that was moving on from Ja Morant, a player that was disgruntled, a player that had been an issue PR wise and was not on the just simply not on the floor much in the past several years. And so ultimately, this is a good trade for both ends. For different reasons. While on paper, this is definitely a fleece in terms of like value. Like just a face value. Blazers get a much better return. But as a whole, putting everything's perspective, it's not as crazy. So in the end, grade wise, I give the Blazers like an A plus. Just nothing. You can't go. You can't get better than that. What they did. Obviously, there's risk to it, but you didn't give up anything too significant to really worry about that risk being painted bad for you. And for the Grizzlies, well, um, I'd give this trade about maybe like a C minus or a C. Not a great, not still not a great grade, but I mean, when I think about it and put in perspective of what the situation is, I can put it to get to a point where it's not in the D's. It's at least in the C's. Ultimately, well, Ja Morant is a Blazer. He's out of the Grizzlies. Gone from the Grizzlies. The Blazers have another move up their sleeves, I believe, and the Grizzlies begin a fresh new era, which is basically the Cam Boozer era for now. Cam Boozer and company era. But that wrap things up for my my thoughts and opinions and whatever on this Ja Morant trade that happened a few hours ago. Uh, continue to tune in as I should have a lot more to be content to be made as this offseason progresses, and it will continue to progress and with much more big moves and transactions to be made. But this has been a production of the the 16th Man Show. I'm Nate Hayes, and I'm signing out. Peace.